verse number 45. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Vadrib lahum masalal. Vadrib lahum. O Messenger, peace be upon him. You present before them masala, example, al hayat dunya, of this worldly life. You present before them a parable or an example or a simile of this worldly life. Kama in anzalna min sama, as the waters which we send min sama, from the heavens. Faqtalata bihi nabat al-ard, and with this arrival of this rains from heavens, greenery and vegetation sprouts and spreads on it, on the earth. فَأَصْبَحَ هَشِيمًا, and then afterwards all this vegetation is rendered dry. تَذْرُوهُ رِيَاحٌ, and even light winds scatter them and destroy them. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُقْتَدِرًا, and thus Allah has power over everything. Al-mal wal-banun, wealth and the family or the children. Zinatul hayat dunya, or the adornment of the worldly life. Wal-baqiyatu salihat, whereas enduring good deeds, khair, are better in the Rabbic with your Lord. Sawaba, as far as reward is concerned. Wa khairun amla, and better for you, better as far as hope is concerned. Wa yawma nusayyir jibal, and think about the day when we shall cause these mountains to move around. Wataral earth, and oh man, you will see this earth barizah, rendered bare and flat. Wahasharnahum, and we shall gather them all, as humankind, we shall gather them all. Falam nugadir minhum ahada, and we shall not leave anyone amongst them. Wa uridu ala rabbika safa, and they will be presented before your Lord in rows. Laqad jitumuna, and it will be said to them, Allah will say, Laqad jitumuna, surely you have come back to us. Kama khalaqnakum awwala marra, as we had created you in the first instance. Bal za'amtum, and you used to claim, alan naj'al lakum maw'ida, that there is no promise for you of this doomsday. Wawudi al-kitab, and the book will be opened, that means book of accounts will be opened. Fatar al-mujrimeen, and the criminals and wrongdoers shall see, and you will see the criminals and the wrongdoers, mushfiqeen mimma fi, you will see the criminals and wrongdoers, they will be frightened by seeing what is in their book of records. وَيَقُولُونَ, and they shall cry, they shall shout in grief, Ya Vailatana, oh woe to us. Ma lihazal kitab, what kind of book this is? La yugadiru sagirata wala kabira. And that this book of account has not left anything, whether big or small, whether major or minor, good or bad deed. Illa ahsa, except everything is enumerated therein. وَوَجَدُوا مَا عَمِلُوا حَاضِرًا, and they'll see before them everything what they had done in worldly life. وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا, and your Lord doesn't act unjustly with anyone. وَإِذْ, and recall that too, قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَكَ, when we said to the angels, أُسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ, you bow towards Adam. فَسَجَدُوا, and all of them prostrated or bowed down. Illa Iblis, except Iblis the Satan. Kana min al-jinn, because he was of the jinns. فَفَسَقَ عَنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّهِ, he turned back from the command of his Lord, or he rejected the command of his Lord. أَفَتَتَّخِذُونَهُ وَذُرِّيَّتَهُ أَوْلِيَاءَ, O humankind, O man, O human beings, have you taken that Satan and his progeny, awliya, as your protectors and helpers, min duni, against me? Wahum lakum adun, whereas in fact they are your enemies. Bisas lizalimina badala, what a wretched and worse thing is in store as a reward for such wrongdoers. Ma ashadhum, I didn't make them witness خلق السماوات والأرض, at the time of the creation of heavens and earth, ولا خلق أنفسهم, nor by the present when they themselves were created. وما كنت متخذ المضلين عضدا, nor do I make my helpers those who mislead others. وَيَوْمَ يَقُولُ, and that day they will call, Nadu, they will be told, Nadu Shuraka'i, Allah will tell them, call upon your partners whom you claim to be partners, Allah whom you claim to be partners, فَدَعُوهُمْ, they shall call them, or they shall invoke them, فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُ لَهُمْ, but they shall not even hear their pleas. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَوْبِقًا, and we create a great pit in between them. وَرَأَى الْمُجْرِمُونَ, and these criminals and wrongdoers shall see an-nar, the fire, فَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُمْ مَوَاقِعُهُ, and they shall feel that they are going to be thrown into it. وَلَمْ يَجِدُوا عَنْهَا مَصْرِفًا, and then they will not find any escape route from that fire. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Coming back to today's lesson, the discussion starts from verse number 45. Again, I repeat, because some of our friends joined us a bit late due to some reasons, of course, that henceforth, that means from next Sunday, inshallah, all the participants shall report. That's particular to Mr. Tahir also, a special request. All participants shall report this place at 8:45. 8:45. And once they read, need not to go indulge in any kind of discussions, unnecessary discussions here or there. No, please, that deviates our minds from the Quranic separate. Once we are here, we should start repeating the previous verses. Everybody amongst. This reading, Quranic reading and understanding should not be just monopoly of few individuals. Everybody should participate and try to read and then understand or translate the verses which have been studied in previous classes. So make it a habit, please. So again, we come to our today's lesson. This chapter Al-Kahf, verse number 45. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Or a messenger, O Muhammad, peace upon him, you present before them a parable of this worldly life. Hayat dunya. Wadrib lahum. You present before them masala, example or a parable, al hayat dunya, of this worldly life. Kama'in, it's like water that rains. Anzalnahu min sama, which we send down from the heavens. Faktalata bihi nabatul ard, and with this the vegetation on earth grows and flourishes. فَأَصْبَحَ hashima, then afterwards we render it dry and lifeless. تَزْرُوهُ رِيَاحٌ, and winds scatter them, disperse the crops. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُقْتَدِرًا, and Allah has power over everything. Al-malu wal-bunun, so this wealth, as well as this families, your children, everything, zinatul hayati dunya, are only the adornment of this worldly life. Wal baqiyatus salihat, whereas enduring good deeds, khairun in the Rabbik, are better in the sight of your Lord. Sawaba, as far as reward is concerned, wa khairun amala, and better as far as hope is concerned. Hope being a better reward. Wa yawm, and think about the day, that the day which is going to come, that is doomsday. Nusairul Jibal, that we shall cause these mountains to move and crumble. Wataral earth, and we shall see this earth, Bariza, changed into a flat, barren land. Wahasharnahum, and we shall gather them all, that will gather all the human beings. Walam nugadir minhum ahada, and we shall not leave behind anyone amongst them. Wa uridu ala rabbika safa, and all of them shall be presented before your Lord in rows and lines. Laqad jitumuna, and Allah shall say, make an announcement, certainly jitumuna, you have come back to us. Kama khalaqnakum awwala marra, as we had created you in the first instance. Balzamtum, but you used to claim, Alan naj'al lakum maw'ida, as if we had not made any appointment for you. That means this day, appointment of the doomsday. Wawudil kitab. And the book will be opened. That means books of accounts will be opened. Fataral mujrimina, and you will see these criminals, these wrongdoing sinners, mushfikina mimafi, will be frightened in watching what is therein, that's in the book of account. Wayakulun, and they shall cry in pain and agony. Ya wailana, woe to us. Mala hadal kitab, what kind of record it is, what kind of book it is. Lan yugadiru, that it has not left behind neither a major nor a minor thing, that everything is recorded. Ilas, except everything is enumerated. Vavajadu, and they shall find ma amilu, what are they might have done the world left hadra before them, presented before them. Wala yazlimu rabbuka ahada, and your Lord shall not act unjustly against anyone. Why? And recall that too. Kulna lil malaika, when we said to the angels, Usjudu li Adam, you bow towards Adam. For sajadu, all of them bowed. Illa Iblis, except Iblis, the Satan. Kana min al jinn, because he was of the jinns, that invisible beings. For fasaka an amri Rabbi, and he transgressed the commands of his Lord. Afatattakhizunahu, O humans, have you made him, that was Satan, Wazuriyatahu, and his progeny, his followers, Awliya, as your friends and protectors, Min duni, against me, Wahum lakum adu, whereas they actually are your enemies. Bisa lidhalimina badal. What a worst thing those wrongdoers shall get in exchange. Ma ashattuhum khalqa samawati wal ard. I didn't make them witness at the creation of the heaven and earth. Wala khalqu anfusim, nor did they know about their own creation. Vama kuntu muttakhidal mudillin, nor do I make helpers out of those who mislead others. Vayama yakulu, and on that day it will be said, that an announcement will be made by Allah the Almighty. Nadu shurakai, you call upon my partner, that means those partners, alladhina zamtum, whom used to claim to be my partners. For da'awhum, yes, out of some hope they may call them. Falam yastajibu lahum, but they shall not respond to their call. Wajalna bainahum mawbika, and we shall create a great gulf, a pit between them. Vara al mujrimuna nar, and the criminals, the sinners shall see the fire. Fadannu, and they shall feel annahum mawaqi'uhu, that they are going to go down into that pit of fire. Walam yajidu anha masrifa, and they shall not find any escape route from that fire. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Now we should try to understand the meanings, underlying meanings of these verses. First verses, that means verse number 45, and the following verses talk about this worldly life. That this worldly life has a beginning and it has an end, and then everything will be recreated, and everybody will be presented in the court of God and put to account for his good and bad deeds, and accordingly rewarded or punished based upon his faith or faithlessness, or bad or good deeds. Quran gives an example. You see, if you don't believe in the life hereafter, you see this cycle of life and death is happening, has been happening for millions of years since the creation of this earth. You are watching it. It has been happening. It is happening before your eyes. Don't you see this world? That land is barren. That's lifeless. Nothing. You can just imagine this part of the season. We see June, July, not Kashmir, because we have a favorable, pleasant weather all the way throughout. But you try to imagine what we see on our television screens, or some documentaries you see in some Indian parts where for years together there is not even a drop of water. Everything dry in Rajasthan, Bikaner, and other Jaisalmers, and other areas, or more so in African desert areas closer to this what we equator and around, how bad humans reduced to mere skeletons, just few moving humans appear to be just moving uh, bones around, and same is as it becomes true to cattle and the flora as well as fauna, animals around, lifelessness visible everywhere. And then after some time, there's rain. And with the arrival of this rain, again there's lush greenery around. Every dead thing becomes live. The earth, which was barren, without just a, a grass plant anywhere, not visible. But after rain falls, it turns green. There's life back, isn't it? Then how come this life came back? So God created life out of lifelessness. This is a cycle. And then it is repeated. When it is green all over, and after some time, that greenery turns into yellow grass, it is dried up, becomes lifeless. And then it's just a wind blows it away. And again this barren land. And again this cycle of life and death is happening here. In animals get dying and then being recreated. Humans dying and they'll be too recreated. It's possible with God. That the Quran time and again talks about the life hereafter. That you see life hereafter in your own selves. Don't you see? It is repeated in Quran more than dozen times, scores of times. That don't you think that you will not be recreated after your death? Forget about you will be recreated. And that is sure you will be recreated. If you have any kind of doubt, you think about your own selves. Think about your origin. Where from did you come? Where from did you come? You are human beings composed of approximately 50 trillion cells. You know what trillion? I have been telling what is trillion. Trillion means 1,000 billion. Trillion means 1,000 billion. And you are created of how many? 50 trillion cells. You can imagine. Only a good student in mathematics can tell us how much it is. Because we don't have equivalents in other languages. We generally say Arab, Kharab, then Padam. I don't know. We use the word Padam. And it is Padam of Padams. And you're more than that. And where from you are doing that means human being, which as we see them, is not just an individual. You are not an individual. Because we know from all the standards, beyond any shadow of doubt, that cell is the basic unit of life. Cell is life. It is living, right? Imagine, we see not hundreds and thousands, but millions and billions, even trillions of living organisms, unicellular organisms, aren't there? Unicellular organisms. We observe them under microscope. We see them, we see their presence, their activities. They perform almost all the activities which you do. They reproduce as you reproduce. They eat and drink as you drink. They throw away the waste as you throw away. They defend themselves against enemies. If somebody approaches them to eat, they can secure themselves and protect as you protect. Though there are all the features of a life, basic life, in a single cell. You can understand the dimension of a cell. I am composed of 50 trillion, what is that? 50,000 trillion cells, imagine. 50,000 billion cells. Imagine the dimension of the cell. As the house is composed of bricks. As more bricks used, the bigger the house. Same way, there are some unicellular organisms. So man is not an individual from biological standard, is he? He's a biologist, he's a student of biology, doing his doctorate, and almost completed his doctorate now. Man is not an individual. Is he an individual? No, man is a community. Because a cell is a living thing. You know it better. You can explain it better. Or a professor can do it better. That man is a community. It's not an individual. Of 50 trillion living things. I am composed of 50 trillion. But all these cells, what is their origin? It originates from a single cell. Imagine a single cell, a sperm cell. Sperm cell, I have been telling you the dimension of a sperm cell. That a male at a single ejaculation produces around 200 million sperms, 200 million, which in Indian language or Oriental language means B is 20 crores, or suppose, or even that, more than that. So you can imagine the dimension of a sperm. And out of this sperm, which is deposited in a female, and whereas woman produce only one ovum or one egg per month in her fertile age till she completes the cycle at the age of 45 or so, single. So imagine out of these 200 million cells, sperm cells, the germ cell or the male cell, only one is responsible for your creation. And imagine the dimension of the cell. And again, you have to see it's not the total cell which is sperm cell which is involved in our creation. That sperm, what is the structure of a sperm? There's a head at the top of it. You can imagine the head is too big, I think, to call it a head, but we have to because we have no other words. Where head, you can imagine the head, and with a long tail. And tail has no role in reproduction, except it provides sperm mobility in motility because sperms go up the vaginal canal and then fallopian tubes, whereas egg is coming down. So you can imagine, and that sperm, the only head is responsible. And to be precise, even that head is not responsible for the creation of a human being. Not head, not even a part of cell. If sperm is unicellular thing. After the forget about tail, which has only mobility effect, or it helps it to make it mobile as sperm. And now head remains. Head has a small beak at the top of it, which penetrates at the egg with this ovum, a singular unicellular cell, egg or female gamete. And once it penetrates it, what's inside? Sperm, egg, there is a small nucleus. You can imagine that dimension of that nucleus within the sperm cell. Even head is not responsible for your creation. That nucleus goes in and ruptures, and then this what is in between within that nucleus, nuclear and chromosomes, chromatin material, chromosomes, 23 of them to be precise. And that chromosome have small dots, like imaginary dots, what we call genes. That is responsible for your creation. And same is true about a female gamete. That's also saying is unicellular, and its nucleus is responsible for your and my creation. That means it is not even a single cell which produces it. It is less than that. What we call them acellular, is it? We use the word acellular for that. That's a thing which is not composed of even a single cell. As we say viruses. Viruses are not unicellular. They are acellular. They are less than a cell because they are composed just of a DNA molecule having a small covering over it. That's virus. It's not a cell total. Same is true about you and me. And how come? How can I go beyond? How can I explain the different states? That out of this acellular sperm and acellular egg are produced how many? 50 trillion, 50,000 billion cells like you and I'm a community. And how this all cells, every cell has an individuality. It has its own nucleus, own nuclear material, and it governs its own activities. How come? How can we explain this 50 trillion living organisms of which I am composed? All these 50 trillion living organisms which I am composed of, they work together in unison. They work together how? It's not me I'm quoting. I remember some time back, a long back, I had read a book by a Nobel laureate in medicine, of course, Dr. Alexis Carrel from France. He got a Nobel Prize for his medical research some time back on the basis of this theory. He published it later, that man the unknown. The title of the book published was Man the Unknown. That how much we know less about ourselves. We may know more about astronomy and galaxies and universe, but how much less we know about ourselves. One of the points he raises that every cell is an independent unit, basically, of life. But how all these cells, 50 trillion cells in my body, work together to make me a single individual? How does it's unknown. It's not still, as the title suggests, man is still unknown to his own self. The title, Man the Unknown. So the Quran gives examples. So when he could create you from almost nothingness, so is it impossible for him to recreate you once you are here, composed of 50 trillion cells, composed of your flesh and bones, weighing 60, 70, or even 80 or 100 kg? Was it difficult of creation of man in the first instance when you were nothing, or once you are something, not something, you are something great, great and great. So is it? So Quran gives the same way. Here Quran, what I told you, this is Quranic, based on Quran what I've told you. Though it may not talk about sperm, egg and its dimension and beak and this tail and head, but Quran, its foundation was laid by Quran, because Quran talks about it. Think about it. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم. This we usually recite in chapter Yasin in our Salah. And of course, we have rendered Surah Yasin to be read only on dead persons, not living, because we have decided that Quran is not for living people; it's for dead people. We have to go to graves and recite Yasin. Or a person who is dying, his soul is about to come out, we read Yasin. Neither the reciter nor the listener knows the meaning of a single word of it, and we feel, but everything is done. Everything is done. Like Christian and Baha'i believes that everything is done. He has got a certificate. Not even Gabriel cannot touch him. No Nakir or Munkar put him, question him, because we have read Yasin. Well, that was not a secret of Quran. Okay, here again, Quran gives another dimension of it. Wadrib lahum masala hayatuna. Amir, you should correct me if I sometimes deviate, because this is your science. I'm trying, unnecessarily intruding in your spheres. Please be careful about that. Wadrib lahum masala hayatuna. Present before them, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, example of this worldly life. See, combine like water. Water here means rain. Anzalnahu min as-sama, which we send down from heavens, right? Faktalata bihi nabatul ard, and it creates, produces vegetation all over the land, which was hitherto barren and lifeless. For asbaha shima, then Quran in a nutshell, in short form, precise form says, for asbaha shima, then it turns yellow, dry and lifeless again. Tazruhu riyah, and wind blows it, can blow it just to distances, hundreds and thousands of kilometers, scatter it. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُقْتَدِرًا. Allah has power over everything. That means, think about this. This is a proof in favor of the life after death. When you see it, everything, everywhere happening before your eyes, right from your birth to death, morning to evening, you watch, you see, but you don't think. A person who doesn't think, Quran calls them, they are not humans. Quran says, Kal anam, they are not humans, they are like cattle. Balhum azala, even worse than them. Who have eyes to see, ears to think, hear, and minds to think, but still don't use these faculties. Quran calls them, they are not humans. They are kal anam, they are like cattle, like livestock. Al-mal wal-banun. The Quran says, inferring from this example which was given in the previous verse, now verse number 46. Same way, al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayatu dunya. Same way, O humans, as we adorn this land with vegetation, with greenery, with crops, with produce, every kind of produce, you benefit from it, and then it finishes, and everything is then recreated. Same way, al-mal wal-banun, the wealth and children and everything you possess, zinatul hayat dunya, is the adornment of this worldly life. That means this world is going to perish. You are going to perish. Your wealth is going to finish. Nothing is going to come join you. Nothing is going to accompany you to your graves or to a burning pyre while you are burned as disbelievers. Nothing accompanies you. Al-mal wal-banun, yes, wealth is there. Yes, your families, your children are there. They are zinatul hayat dunya. They are adornment of only this worldly life. World gone, and one day is going to come sooner or later when everything will perish. And you see everything perishing before your eyes. You perish. Forget about everything. If everything is here, you perish. Is it of any use? You have long palatial buildings. You have billions or trillions that deposits with you in cash or kind. What's it? It is only adornment till you are alive. Al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayat dunya. Wealth and children are the adornment of this worldly life. But what is real? Wal-baqiyatu salihat. enduring good deeds. Then what are you good you do here? Based on faith, you do good deeds. You help others. You come to rescue, to orphans, to widows, to needy persons. You help everybody. Good, perform good deeds. And don't indulge in immoral practices. Don't cheat others. Those are the enduring good deeds. Well, baqiyatu salihat, though mal and banoon, they are adornment. So Quran upholds these are adornments. Quran is not against it. Had Quran Islam been against it, why should Quran give examples of the great prophets like David and Solomon? They possess wealth more than anybody even today possesses. That's Bill Gates or Ambani's or who I don't know who is at number one now at the moment, all put together. You see the Solomon presented an example that how much he had authority and power over a big kingdom spread over Palestine, Syria, and adjoining areas. Not only that, he had not power over humans only. He had authority and power over invisible beings, jinns also work for him. He had authority over air, winds, as Quran explains, that it was put under his command, that he would ask wind, okay, today you have to move from north to south, and winds would follow by the will of God, not by his own power. And sometimes he would ask winds, let them flow from east-west, and they would flow. Who has such power on earth? He had a palace. Don't you see? We have read. Have we read chapter Namal? No, I think we are going to study that Namal. Where we see when a neighboring queen, country of a neighboring queen, that's Queen Saba is called, Bilqis is named as Bilqis. She was also queen of a great land of Southern Arabia, Arabian Peninsula. She was a great. She came to, out of, I don't want to go into detail, just I'm giving you the specific thing, what I want to explain. That queen comes to see the Solomon. This queen, Saba, was an infidel. She was an idol worshipper. So Solomon invited her to faith. So she came to see the king Solomon. She was curious. Let me see what kind of king he is. She didn't know him. And when that queen came to, and Solomon greeted her, and they were moving in his palace from one place to another. As we see in red forts and other forts, Mahal Am and Mahal Khas, and they were heading towards the dialogue where they would sit across the table and talk. And they had to move in between a big courtyard. Hall. No, courtyard was open. And when they were moving from one part to another, in that courtyard, that queen raised her clothing, her trousers up, because she felt that my clothes may get wet due to flowing water. When she tried to raise her garments, which were flowing, Solomon, the King Solomon, he was not just a king, he was a prophet also. He had a smile and told queen, or worthy queen, this is not water, it's only feeling of water. This palace has glass flooring. Imagine, transparent glass flooring, and beneath that water was flowing, streams are flowing. And when queen thought that I have to move in water, such was a palace. So Islam is not against that thing. It's not against that. But provided your earnings are based on the right things, and your spendings are done according to the will of God. On needy, everybody, you have to spend. You may accumulate not millions and billions. Muslims need not to be among the billionaires. I wish, and Quran wants, even Prophet peace be upon him, that Muslims should be among the best trillionaires of the world, but to fulfill certain conditions. So Islam is not against that. But he thinks that real life is by his earnings, by his wealth, by his positions, by his force, by his strength, by his mental capacities. He is more concerned about the welfare of the eternal life, because he knows this world is not going to last. Even if I make everything, I have to leave this world. Everything will be left behind. Or sometimes in one's lifetime, everything perishes what he had accumulated during his lifetime. That's the Quran says, Al mal wal banun zinatul hayat dunya. The wealth and children, no doubt, are the adornments of this worldly life. But wal baqiyatu salihat, the enduring good deeds, khair, are better, because wealth is not going to accompany you, but those good deeds will accompany you to the next world, the eternal world, the infinite world. Wal baqiyatu salihat khairun in the Rabbik. The enduring good deeds are better in the sight of your Lord. Sawaba, as far as reward is concerned, but you say, please, be awake. Sawaba, as far as reward is concerned, wa khairun amala, better as far as hope, that only such person who does good deeds has a good hope with his Creator that he rewards him. Wa yawm, and think about the day. Nusairul Jabal. This means about this world may produce, perishes, man dies, everything left behind. But a day is going to come when whole world will perish. There will be a global disaster, and not only global, as Quran explains, there will be universal disaster. إذا السماء انفطرت وإذا الكواكب انتثرت وإذا البحار فجرت وإذا القبور بعثرت. When the heavens will be torn apart, Quran says, the Saman Fatar will Kawaki, and all these planets and stars will be scattered. So there will be universal crumble. And this earth also is Azul Zatul Azul Dalha. Then we shall shake this earth repeated by repeated shakings. What will be happening? Quran here gives just an example. Vayaman Nusairul Jibal. The day will be when we shall cause these heavy mountains, these Himalayas, these Ural mountains, and all the mountains, rains, we shall cause them to move and crumble. How? We may think, but today is not possible to think about. We know everything can perish. It can be. We see just a small, some earthquake of just 6.5, 7.5, or some 8.1 or 2 destruction around, but that will be universal and global crumbling. So these, as Quran puts it here, Quran says only that these we shall cause these mountains to crumble and to move around. At some place, Quran says that they will be rendered like the balls are scattered pieces of cotton. When we cast cotton, it's only scattered in the winds, in the air around. As Quran says, Al-Qariyah, Mal-Qariyah, wa ma adraka mal-Qariyah, yama yakunu nas kal farasil mabsus, wa takunu al-jibalu kal ihnil manfush. So it's not, sometimes Quran says that all these high mountains will be turned into dust. It will be blown by air like dust particles. And it is possible. How things are here, how things stand here, we know. As human body cells are bound together by certain bonds, the same way everything made on this earth is made of atoms. Basic unit is atom. Even if cells are made of atoms, basic units again are not cell but atom, in fact. Atoms. And atoms join together to make molecules. And they have some bonds, hydrogen bonds and other bonds, which bind them together. On that day, those bonds will be broken. The way the bonds between sun and earth will be broken. Bonds between different planets, which today move in a particular orbit. When those why they move in orbits? We know it is that gravitational and other forces which make them to move in a particular orbit. When those bonds are broken, then everything will be scattered, everything will fall down. It is possible. It's not so difficult one to imagine now in 21st century. Same is true on Earth. How things stand, how mountains, everything stand, because everything is made of atoms, and atoms are bound together by certain forces. When those forces are withdrawn, imagine when those forces are withdrawn. Think about a second, close your eyes, think about as a student of physics or physical science or geology, you think about the mutual forces are cut. What will happen? Everything can crumble down. All what Everests and K2 is mountain tops will crumble because the forces which join those atoms together to make such huge structures. When the forces are broken, withdrawn, everything can crumble and turn into dust, into atoms, original atoms, because there will be no binding forces between atoms, and that's what we call dust. in common language, and that can be blown by winds. And Quran sometimes calls places, it will be colored, this dust will be there because mountains have different colors. We see today we use marbles and all kinds of what they are extracted from earth and from mountains. Their color, some green, some white, some blue, some black, jet black, and some of varied colors, and they'll be blown as dust, colored dust. وَيَوْمَ نُسَيْرُ الْجِبَالَ, the day when we shall cause these mountains to move. وَتَرَى الْأَرْض, oh man, you will see this land, earth, bariza, rendered barren and flat, as Quran puts in somewhere. I think it is, was it in the beginning of this chapter or in chapter Al-Araf? Quran says that all this whole earth will be made as flat surface, no sunkenness. Today we have, as Quran says, that all this, what we call that, I don't get it because I'm so weak in English vocabulary. I don't get exact words sometimes. Notice once we spread a carpet on flooring, so it's flat. But sometimes if there is some ups and downs, we call wrinkles, like wrinkles, huh?
Correlations.
Yeah, up and down, as in Kashmiri say gain. Sometimes you see up and then we wrinkles like up and down. So today we find those ups and downs. The greatest up point is Everest, 29,200 feet above, and some you see deep oceans. Like the deepest point in Mariana Trench in Pacific Ocean, 36,200 feet below the Earth's surface. So there are ups and downs. But on that day, then there will be no these oceans, as Quran explains, nor the mountains, as we said just now. So everything, all these pits will be filled by what? By the ups, maybe perhaps by Allah's will, by the mountains which will crumble down, and whole earth will be totally flat. Totally flat. And on this earth itself will be held a day of accountability. We need not to go up to heavens. No, it will be held here. As a person proverb says, Kaziye Zameen, Barsari Zameen. What will be raised here. Because Quran says, إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى. Every inch and every part of earth still explain what this man has done over me. It will be by the will of God. Maybe. Allah knows, we can't say. When on the day of judgment when we'll be raised, we may be raised here. It's possible, but we can't identify it. Because today we identify by houses, by roads, by canals, by markings. This is Sanat Nagar, that is Rawalpura, and that is Barzala, that is Srinagar, that time when everything will be gone, so we may not be in a position to identify, there will be total friend. But it is possible we will be raised here. And this part of the earth shall bear witness. Oh Allah, I used to see these people coming on Sundays, just seeking your pleasure. They used to recite your words. They were only joined together by the love of your beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Every part of the earth is going to bear witness what a person has done. That's Quran says. Vayam, and the day Nusairul Jibal, we shall make these mountains to fall and crumble and move. Wataral Arda Barza, and you'll see this earth flattened in a perfect flat surface. Wahasharnahum, and we shall gather them all. That means all, whether they believe in it as believers or they may not believe in it as the disbelievers, all are, we shall gather all. Falam nukadir minhum ahda, we shall not leave behind anybody amongst them. Everybody, right from the first day, that's the creation of Adam, down to that doomsday, everybody we shall get. وَأُرِدُوا عَلَى رَبِّكَ صَفًا, and all of them shall be presented before your Lord in rows, with their heads bowed down. لَا يَتَكَلَّمُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ الرَّحْمَنُ يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا. On the day, all even angels like Gabriel also, Gabriel mentioned, Ruh, and that means everybody will be gathered before Allah. La yatakallamuna. Nobody can open his mouth. Nobody can even talk about La illa man adina Allahu Rahman, except whom Allah wills to speak. And that is the day. Urdu ala rabbika saban. They will be gathered or presented before your Lord in rows, in lines. Then Allah will say, oh, addresses here to disbelievers, laka jitumuna, surely you have come back to us. That means what you used to deny, that you will not be brought back to God. Now you have been brought. Kama khalaqnakum awwala marra, as we had created you in the first instance. That means this also implies the individual accountability in the court of God. That everybody has to present his individually. No, there will be no collective answers. Let people are all for us and like join together. They'll be, what did you do? No, it's not like that. Let Kashmiris come together, and Indians, and then Pakistanis and Afghans. No, everybody will be put to account individual. What you did right from birth to death. Quran says, "Laqad ji'tumuna," you have certainly come to us. Kama khalaqnakum. Well, as we had created you individually, individually have to be present to ourselves for accountability. Balzamtum, but you used to claim or feel alan najal lakum awida, that we had not appointed a point of appointment for you. You are thinking about that. That you used to think that we will not be brought back and presented. Wawudiyal kitab, and the records will be opened. Records means book of records. So in every interview, what we call normally in our language, namai amal, the book of accounts will be opened. Fataral mujrimina mushfikina, and that time you will see the criminals and sinners frightened by the fear. Fear of what? What they will see in their books written. They'll get frightened because they'll see Vayakulun, and they shall cry. Ya Walida, woe to us. Mala Hazrat, what kind of book it is? La Yugadiru Sagir Wala Kabir, it has not left. Even a small thing or a big thing, everything, whether good or bad, if I had committed any good up to the weight of an atom, that will be recorded. Even if I had done any bad deed, smaller than that, they'll be recorded. Everything good, small and big. They'll cry what kind of book it is. It has not left anything small or big unrecorded, and without any record or enumeration. So they'll find everything, what they had found, what they had done, hadira before them. Everything will be before them. And your Lord shall not act unjustly against anyone. They have total justice. So should we stop here? Let us, because I didn't think, I was not thinking just when we started this lesson that there will be such great explanations in this verse. Alhamdulillah.
The very thought-provoking verses. One is the scientific way of explaining the end of the world, when it again go to black hole, and it will be destroyed. But when we say that mountains will move and the earth will become flat, will this earth remain real or not? If
Yes, it is the right thing. It's right.